Morning everybody, fantastic to see you all again. And today is a really rainy day. It's the last morning of our workshop and we've just been walking around these amazing woods. So I thought it'd be really great to just do a video and show you some of the really great places here. It's often a fantastic idea to go down to the woods when it's rainy and wet because you get these rich saturated colours, and also the mist in the air helps to separate the elements. So let's go and have a look for some compositions and see what we can find. There's some amazing silver birch here. So when I'm looking for shots in woodland, I'm looking to try and separate the subject from the background a little bit, either using fog or a uniform background. What is really helpful when it's rainy and a bit misty like this is that you can actually start to do that much easier. You don't have this real harsh line between the mountain line and the sky. It becomes more a soft line, and that massively helps to compose the image and not have distracting elements. So what I'm trying to do is find some nice set of trees with this sort of uniform background. And it's absolutely fantastic. I love walking around woodland when it's raining. There really isn't anything better than this. It's fantastic. Whilst I was just walking to the scene where we were this morning, which has got some amazing sort of oaks and silver birches and quite rich sort of woodland, in this sort of more open area here, I found this sort of nice path, and there's some silver birch up on the right of the quarry here, which creates a nice diagonal, and these really rich sort of grey tones of the slate, which just look fantastic. And then the silver birch on the left hand side, and you can just start to see the mountain appear in the background, which just looks so good. So I've got it on 24mm on f10. I'm focusing on that tree there in the middle, and I'm checking for focus as well. I want to make sure, so I am having a look and making sure the focus is okay. I've got it on ISO 64, but I'm also making sure that the shutter speed, because it's quite slow, it is a 1/13 of a second, that when I've done this, that I am not got any leaves that are slightly moving or blurred. I mean, to be honest, there's hardly any wind, so I doubt that's going to happen. And then it's just a question of a 3-second timer. Press the button, and it looks amazing. Wow. Oh, it's hard with the rain. So one thing I would say is make sure you have one of these cloths in the rain. It couldn't get any better than just being able to dry it off with a microporous cloth, and although they're water sealed, when it's raining this hard you really want to keep them dry because you don't want to get anything going wrong. Look at this shot, it's amazing. So we've got this really rich coloured stone here, and the rock and the moss and the leaves just contrast so nicely together. Then we've got the brown bracken, which looks so good when it's wet, and then these beautiful sort of autumn coloured leaves, so it looks amazing. So I'm going to go at 24mm and have it quite wide angle and get some foreground in. Then I'm going to go even wider as well, and probably go down to 16mm and get a much wider shot in. I'm just being careful because there's a bright spot there where the river is, so I'm just being careful I'm not getting that bright spot in. But it's really good. The backdrop here is amazing. again, in terms of focus, I'm focusing on the trees, and that brings enough into focus in front of my camera, because about f11 at 16mm I can get down to about 50mm in front of my camera when I focus at infinity. So if I focus on these trees, it's going to be even closer. Oh, this is fantastic. So fantastic. Found these really nice sort of old gnarly oak trees here next to the silver birch as well. I just can't believe how amazing this is. You've just got, if it's raining, go outside. Go outside. Don't think you should stay inside because it rains, because you'll get some of the best woodland shots you've ever taken. When it's dry and sunny, everything's got shadows, there's no rich colours, but when it is raining and misty and damp, then it really brings out these colours, and I can't tell you just how really satisfying it is to just walk around the woodland for a few hours and try and find some compositions. Okay, I'm going to try and find something here now, and I'm just going to try include maybe some of the rocks, some of the ferns, and then have a view through the misty woodland into the distance. Top tip if it's raining so much is use your bag cover to cover your camera up whilst you're trying to find a new composition, rather than putting your camera away and getting it out again. Keeps it perfectly dry, and your bag's probably more waterproof than your camera, so don't worry about your bag getting a little bit wet. Just try and keep your camera dry. Especially good if you can keep it dry, because then you don't get so much condensation as well when you put it back in your bag. Okay, I found a shot here which is really interesting. It's quite complicated, but I think there's some really interesting elements in it. There's a rock and an oak tree, then another oak tree, then some silver birch, then another oak tree in the distance. And your eye sort of wanders around and goes through the scene. It's quite complex, but there is sort of a route around the scene into the distance, so I think it works. I think it'll look really good printed big if it does. So I'm going to take this. I've got quite a lot of depth of field in here, and I'm zooming in a little bit, and obviously when you zoom, when you have a longer focal length, then that narrows your depth of field, so you've got to think about that and maybe increase your aperture, or increase or decrease the size of your aperture. So I've got f13, which I think, although it's a little bit of diffraction, it might be a little bit soft, it's going to be fine, I'm not going to notice it. And it's just a question of taking the shot. So I'm going to uncover my camera, check my lens, which is good, check my composition, 3-second timer, fantastic. Oh, I've really enjoyed this morning in the rain in this amazing woodland in the quarry here at Chapel Style in the Lake District, and what a fantastic end to our workshop. We've had such an amazing time. I think a residential workshop is such a good way of taking your time and devoting some real quality time to photography. I think you need that. You need to be able to have time to go to one location and explore it a little bit. So we'll be doing more workshops in the Lake District. Take a look at my website. And that's about it. I'm going to go and get dry now, have a coffee and go home. Thanks ever so much for watching, and until next Sunday, bye.